He had the perfect wife, the dream career, and the kind of life people envy on Instagram. But one message, one secret, turned his whole world into a nightmare. Tonight, you'll see what really happens when a pregnant wife vanishes, and the husband's regret comes too late. If you think you know how this story ends, you don't. Stay till the end. Hit like, drop a comment with what you would have done, and subscribe for more true-to-life stories that'll keep you up at night. The late afternoon sun painted the Chicago penthouse nursery in shades of gold and amber. Emily Grace Morrison stood before the handmade crib, one hand resting on the swell of her 7-month pregnancy, the other smoothing cream-colored quilts she had spent weeks selecting. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Lake Michigan stretched endlessly, its surface catching the dying light like scattered diamonds. She hummed softly, feeling her baby kick. A smile crossed her tired face. "Your daddy is going to love you so much," she whispered to her belly, imagining the life they would build together. The nursery was perfect. Sage walls, natural wood furniture, everything she had dreamed of when she and Alexander Harrison had first talked about starting a family. The iPad on the changing table buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. Emily glanced over. The screen glowed to life, synced to Alex's phone. She had set up the sync months ago so they could both see photos and messages about the baby. A convenience, a way to stay connected during his constant business trips. The preview of the text message appeared on the lock screen from someone named Victoria. Emily did not recognize the name. The message read, "Last night was incredible. Your wife will never make you feel the way I do. Cannot wait to celebrate the Meridian deal tonight at the gala. Wear that cologne I bought you." Emily's world tilted. Her hands shot out, gripping the edge of the changing table for support. The baby kicked again, harder this time, as if sensing her distress. She stared at the words, reading them over and over, hoping they would rearrange themselves into something innocent, something explainable. They did not. With shaking hands, she picked up the iPad. The password was their anniversary date. She had always thought it was romantic. Now the irony burned. Her fingers trembled as she unlocked the device. 6 months of messages unfurled before her eyes. Explicit photos, videos, text threads that made her stomach turn. Victoria Blackwell, CEO of Blackwell Capital. A woman Emily had heard Alex mention in passing, always professionally. A woman who was apparently much more than a business contact. The affair had started the day after they discovered Emily was pregnant. The very same day Alex had held her, tears in his eyes, promising he would be the best father their son could ever want. The same day she had given notice at her architectural firm, stepping back from the partnership she had worked a decade to earn. She had made the sacrifice willingly, joyfully, because family came first. Because this was what they both wanted, or so she had believed. Emily scrolled deeper, nausea rising. There were photos of Alex and Victoria in hotel rooms she recognized from his business trips. Singapore, London, San Francisco. The cabin in Wisconsin where he claimed he went fishing with college friends. Every lie, cataloged in digital evidence. Then she found the video. It was dated 2 weeks earlier. The video opened on Victoria lying in bed, the camera angle suggesting Alex was holding the phone. She was beautiful in that sharp, polished way. Dark hair, perfect makeup, even at what appeared to be early morning. Next to her, Alex lay shirtless, arm draped over her. Victoria spoke first. "God, domesticity sounds like hell. Diapers and spit up and goodbye to that body." Alex laughed. Actually laughed. He pulled her closer. "Don't worry, I'm only staying until the kid is born. Got to look like the devoted husband for the custody arrangement." "So what? Another 2 months of playing house?" Victoria asked. 2 months, Alex confirmed. His voice was casual, light, as if he were discussing a minor inconvenience. "Then I will file for divorce, cite her postpartum as unstable, get primary custody, and you and I can finally go public. My lawyer says it is bulletproof." "God, you are ruthless," Victoria purred. "I love it. She has no idea, does she?" "None. She actually thinks I am excited about being a dad." They both laughed. The video ended. Emily's knees buckled. She collapsed onto the glider chair, the same chair where she had imagined rocking her baby to sleep. Her hand instinctively went to her belly, cradling it protectively. The baby kicked again, a strong flutter against her palm. "I am so sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I am so sorry you have him as a father." The room spun around her. Every moment of the past 6 months replayed in her mind with sickening clarity. Every business trip, every late night at the office, every time Alex had seemed distant or distracted. She had excused it all, attributed it to the stress of running his company, the pressure of impending fatherhood. She had been a fool. No, she had been trusting. There was a difference. Emily sat in the glider, rocking back and forth, hyperventilating. This was not just betrayal. This was calculated cruelty. He had planned to take her baby, to use the most vulnerable moment of her life against her in court, to steal their son and give her nothing but pain. The perfect nursery around her suddenly felt like a tomb. Every carefully chosen detail mocked her now. The hand-painted name sign, the books lined up on the shelf, the tiny clothes folded in the dresser drawers, all of it built on lies. She did not know how long she sat there. The sun continued its descent, and the golden light faded to dusk. Her phone buzzed multiple times. Probably Alex, probably with more lies about where he was and when he would be home. She did not look at it. Instead, Emily wiped her tears. A different feeling was beginning to replace the grief. Something harder, colder, more focused. If Alex Harrison thought she would simply accept this, that she would play the victim while he executed his master plan, he had severely underestimated the woman he married. Emily had not become an award-winning architect by being weak. She knew how to plan, how to build, and if necessary, how to demolish. She stood, walked to Alex's desk in the corner of the room, and began searching. She found what she was looking for in the third drawer, an invitation to the Harrison Technologies 10th anniversary gala. Tonight, at the Peninsula Hotel, 300 guests, press coverage, board members and investors. The invitation noted a special announcement, a strategic partnership with Blackwell Capital. Of course, the affair was not just personal, it was professional. They had been working together all along, building something while Emily built a nursery. The symmetry was almost poetic. Emily picked up her phone and dialed Claire Rodriguez, her former business partner and best friend. Claire answered on the first ring. I was just thinking about you. How are you feeling?" "Claire," Emily said, her voice surprisingly steady, "I need you to meet me at the Peninsula Hotel tonight. Bring your camera equipment, the professional stuff." "What? What is going on? You sound—" Emily cut her off. "I am done being the perfect wife. Tonight, I burn it all down." 6 months earlier, Emily had woken before dawn with a feeling she could not quite name. Alexander was still asleep beside her, one arm thrown across his eyes against the early morning light filtering through the curtains. She had slipped out of bed, padded to the bathroom, and taken the pregnancy test she had been keeping in the drawer for weeks. 2 pink lines appeared almost immediately. She had stared at them, joy bubbling up so fierce and sudden it made her dizzy. They had been trying for almost a year. Every negative test had been a small heartbreak. But this one was positive. Emily had climbed back into bed, shaking Alex awake. "Wake up, wake up, I have news." He had blinked at her, confused and half asleep. What time is it?" She had held up the test, unable to keep the smile off her face. "We are pregnant." For a moment, Alex had just stared. Then his face had transformed. Pure joy, or what looked like it. He had pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "Are you serious? We are really having a baby." Alex had pulled back, cupping her face in his hands. "I am going to be the best father. I promise you, Em. Our kid is going to have everything I didn't." Looking back now, Emily recognized the performance. But in that moment, wrapped in her husband's arms, she had believed every word. The memory dissolved, replaced by another. 2 weeks after the positive test, Emily had called an emergency partners meeting at Morrison and Associates, the architectural firm where she had worked since graduating from MIT. She had poured everything into that firm. Late nights, missed weekends, a decade of dedication that had culminated in a junior partnership. Her mentor, Susan Chen, had looked concerned the moment Emily announced she was stepping back. Em, are you sure? You are up for lead architect on the Riverside project. This is what you have been working toward. I know, Emily had said, her hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. But family comes first. This is what Alex and I have always dreamed of. I want to be present for our baby. Susan had nodded slowly, though her expression suggested she wanted to say more. She had not. Later, Emily would wonder if Susan had seen something she had missed. The flashback shifted again. 4 months into the pregnancy, the gender reveal party in their penthouse, filled with friends and family. Blue confetti had burst from the black balloon Emily popped. A boy. They were having a boy. She had turned to Alex, expecting to see his face mirror her joy. Instead, she had found him staring at his phone, his smile hollow and distant. When he noticed her looking, he had quickly set the phone down and pulled her into an embrace. A son, he had said. I cannot believe it. Even then, some part of her had noticed the flatness in his voice, but she had pushed the thought away, attributing it to nerves about fatherhood. Everyone said it was normal for expectant fathers to feel overwhelmed. Now, standing in the present, Emily moved through the penthouse like a ghost. She went to their bedroom, the room she had decorated in soft grays and whites, peaceful and serene. Everything in its place. Everything perfect. Just like her life had appeared to be. She opened her closet, pushing past the comfortable maternity clothes to the back, where her old life hung forgotten. There, the red Valentino gown Alex had bought her for their 3rd anniversary. She had never worn it. He had missed their anniversary dinners that night, called away for an emergency board meeting. Another lie in a long line of lies. Emily pulled the dress out, holding it against herself. 7 months pregnant, she had no business wearing a gown like this. But she would make it work. Tonight was not about looking comfortable. It was about making a statement. She laid the dress on the bed and sat down heavily beside it, pulling out her phone. The screen showed 3 missed calls from Alex, 1 voicemail. She did not listen to it. Instead, she scrolled through her contacts until she found the name she needed. Michael Sterling, the best divorce attorney in Chicago. They had met at a charity function years ago. He had given her his card and told her if she ever needed anything, to call. She had never imagined she would need him. Emily dialed the number. It rang twice before a professional voice answered. Sterling and Associates. This is Emily Harrison. I need to speak with Michael Sterling. It is urgent. I am sorry, Mrs. Harrison, but Mr. Sterling is in meetings all day. Can I take a message? Tell him, Emily said slowly, that I need representation in a divorce case. Tell him there is evidence of adultery and a conspiracy to gain custody through fraudulent means. Tell him I will make it worth his while. There was a pause, then the receptionist said, Please hold. Less than 30 seconds later, Michael Sterling himself came on the line. Mrs. Harrison, I am very sorry to hear about your situation. Are you safe right now? The question caught her off guard. Safe? Yes, I am home. Good. I need you to do something for me right away. Document everything, every text message, every email, every piece of evidence you can find. Do not delete anything, and do not let your husband know you have discovered the affair. Can you do that? I can do better than that, Emily said. I can expose him publicly. Tonight, at his company gala. There was another pause. Mrs. Harrison, I understand you are angry. I am not angry, Mr. Sterling. I am finished being the naive wife. He planned to take my baby. He planned to use my postpartum depression against me in court. I have video evidence of him hitting exactly that. So I am going to make sure everyone who matters in his professional life knows exactly what kind of man Alexander Harrison is. Michael was quiet for a moment. Then he said, If you are determined to do this, do it smart. Record everything. Make sure you have copies of all evidence in multiple locations. And Mrs. Harrison, call me the moment it is over. You are going to need legal protection immediately. I will. One more thing. Whatever you do tonight, do not let him see you break. Men like your husband count on their victims staying silent. The moment you speak up, you take back your power. Emily ended the call and stood, moving with newfound purpose. She went back to Alex's desk and downloaded every message, every photo, every video onto 2 separate USB drives. One she would keep, one she would give to Claire for safekeeping. Then she began to get ready. The makeup took longer than usual. She had to hide the shadows under her eyes, the evidence of her tears, foundation, concealer, powder, then dramatic eye makeup, dark and smoky, red lipstick the color of vengeance. She swept her blonde hair into an elegant updo, leaving a few tendrils to frame her face. The red dress fit differently than it would have before pregnancy, but somehow that made it even more striking. The empire waist accommodated her belly, and the deep V-neck drew the eye. She looked powerful, dangerous, beautiful. Alex would not be able to ignore her tonight. Neither would Victoria Blackwell. Neither would the 300 guests who thought they were celebrating a business success. They were about to witness something else entirely. Emily's phone buzzed, a text from Claire. "I'm on my way to the hotel. Are you sure about this?" Emily typed back, "I have never been more sure of anything in my life." She took one last look at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back was not the same person who had discovered her husband's betrayal a few hours ago. That woman had been shattered. This woman had been forged in fire. Emily grabbed her clutch, dropped one USB drive inside, and headed for the door. She did not look back at the nursery. She did not need to. That room, like her marriage, was already a monument to something dead. By the time the sun finished setting over Chicago, Emily Grace Morrison was going to make sure everyone knew the truth about Alexander Harrison, and there would be no coming back from it. The Peninsula Hotel's grand ballroom glittered like something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across walls draped in Harrison Technologies' signature blue and silver. 300 guests mingled in evening wear, champagne flutes in hand, unaware that they were about to witness the social event of the decade. Emily arrived fashionably late, precisely as she had planned. The moment she stepped through the ballroom entrance, conversation stopped. Heads turned, she stood framed in the doorway, 7 months pregnant in a red Valentino gown, and let the moment breathe. Let them see her. Let them remember this. Across the room, Alexander Harrison froze mid-conversation. His champagne glass stopped halfway to his lips. Even from this distance, Emily could see the color drain from his face. Beside him, Victoria Blackwell, stunning in midnight blue, narrowed her eyes. Emily smiled. Ryan Matthews, Alex's business partner and best friend, broke from a cluster of board members and moved toward her. "Emily," he said, his voice low and urgent, "what are you doing here? Alex said you were not feeling well." "Did he?" Emily kept her voice light, conversational. "How strange, I feel perfectly fine." "Emily, please, whatever you are thinking." She walked past him, moving through the crowd with the grace of a woman who knew she held all the cards. Guests parted before her, their whispers following in her wake. The pregnant wife, the reclusive Mrs. Harrison. What was she doing here? They were about to find out. Alex was making his way toward her now, his expression a mask of forced calm. But Emily did not stop. She walked straight past him, straight toward the stage where a podium waited, toward the massive screens flanking the space that were meant to display corporate achievements and financial graphs. Claire materialized from the shadows near the tech booth, giving Emily a subtle nod. Everything was in place. "Ladies and gentlemen," the master of ceremonies announced from the stage, "please welcome Alexander Harrison, CEO and founder of Harrison Technologies." Perfect timing. Emily reached the stage steps just as Alex arrived at the podium. The spotlight found him, rendering everyone else in shadow. He gripped the sides of the podium, his knuckles white. "Good evening, everyone," Alex began, his voice carrying the practiced confidence of a man used to commanding rooms. "Tonight we celebrate not just a decade of Harrison Technologies, but the future, a future built on innovation, partnership, and—" Emily climbed the steps. The crowd gasped. Even the MC stepped back uncertain. The spotlight swung to include her, and Emily took her place beside her husband, feeling the heat of the lights, the weight of 300 pairs of eyes. "Hello, everyone," she said, her voice clear and steady. She did not need to touch the microphone. The acoustics in the grand ballroom were excellent. "For those who do not know me, I am Emily Harrison, Alexander's wife, and the mother of his unborn son." Alex hissed under his breath, reaching for her arm. What are you doing? She stepped away from his touch. I apologize for interrupting, but I thought you should all know who you are actually celebrating tonight. Emily nodded toward Claire. The screens behind her flared to life. Text messages filled the massive displays. Intimate photos of Alex and Victoria. Timestamps. Locations that corresponded with his supposed business trips. The evidence was undeniable, enlarged 40 feet high for everyone to see. The crowd erupted in whispers, then shouts. Phones appeared, recording. Board members stood, their faces shocked. Investors exchanged horrified looks. These messages, Emily continued, began the day after my husband and I discovered I was pregnant. While I was giving up my career to build our family, he was building something else entirely with Victoria Blackwell. Victoria stood frozen in the crowd, her perfect composure finally cracking. A photographer's flash went off, then another, the moment captured for posterity. But wait, Emily said, and her voice carried an edge now, something sharp and unforgiving. There is more. The screens changed, the video played. Victoria's voice filled the ballroom, tinny through the speakers but perfectly audible. God, domesticity sounds like hell. Then Alex's voice dripping with contempt. I'm only staying until the kid is born. Got to look like the devoted husband for the custody arrangement. The words hit like physical blows. Emily watched the crowd's faces change, shock giving way to disgust, to anger. A board member stood, slamming his hand on his table. Harrison, what the hell is this? Emily kept speaking, her voice cutting through the chaos. He planned to divorce me after our son was born, to claim I was unstable, to take our child, all while carrying on an affair with the woman he is now announcing as his business partner. Ryan Matthews stood, his face pale. His voice shook as he spoke. I knew. Alex told me about the affair 6 months ago. I told him to end it. I should have told you, Emily. God, I should have told you. I am so sorry. The betrayal within the betrayal. Even Ryan had known. Emily turned to Victoria, who was attempting to leave. Not so fast, Ms. Blackwell. Should we tell everyone about the insider information you have been extracting? How this partnership is actually a hostile takeover? Victoria stopped. For the first time, real fear crossed her face. Then the pain hit. Sharp, sudden, stealing Emily's breath. She grabbed the podium for support, her other hand instinctively going to her belly. Something was wrong, very wrong. She looked down. Liquid was running down her legs, pooling on the stage. But it was not water, it was blood. Something is wrong, she whispered. Then louder, panic creeping into her voice. Something is wrong with my baby. The ballroom erupted into chaos. Someone screamed. Multiple people were calling 911. Claire was at her side instantly, holding her up. Emily's vision blurred. The pain was everywhere now, consuming. Through the haze, she heard Alex's voice, finally showing real emotion. Call an ambulance! Somebody help her! But it was too late for his concern. Too late for everything. Emily collapsed into Claire's arms as the world went dark, sirens already wailing in the distance, and 300 phones capturing every moment of the Harrison Empire's spectacular collapse. Northwestern Memorial Hospital's emergency room smelled like antiseptic and fear. The fluorescent lights were too bright, too harsh, turning everything into sharp edges and washed-out colors. Emily was barely conscious, strapped to a gurney, being rushed through double doors by medical staff who moved with urgent precision. Placental abruption, someone said. A doctor. Emily could not see her point. We need emergency surgery now or we lose them both. Alexander tried to follow, his tuxedo still splattered with Emily's blood. I am her husband. Let me. Get away from me. Emily's scream tore from somewhere primal. Even through the pain, even through the fear, her rage was a living thing. You did this. This is your fault. 2 security guards materialized, holding Alex back. Claire pushed past them, still in her evening clothes, her camera abandoned somewhere in the chaos. She grabbed the gurney's rail as they moved. She doesn't want him near her, Claire said to the security team. I don't care what his last name is. The last thing Emily saw before the operating room doors swung shut was Alexander's face, finally showing something real. Horror, grief, maybe even love, far too late. Then the doors closed and she was alone with strangers in surgical masks, and the pain, and the terrible fear that she was about to lose everything that mattered. "We are going to take care of you," Dr. Sarah Bennett said, her face appearing above Emily's. "You and your baby, but we need to operate right now, do you understand?" Emily managed a nod. "Save my baby. Please save my baby. We are going to do everything we can." The anesthesia mask covered her face. Emily counted backward from 10. She made it to 7 before the world disappeared. In the waiting room, Alexander Harrison paced like a caged animal. His perfectly styled hair was a mess from running his hands through it. The blood on his shirt had dried to brown rust. He looked like a man who had been in a car accident. In a way, he had been. Ryan sat in one of the uncomfortable plastic chairs, his head in his hands. Other guests from the gala had followed to the hospital. Board members, investors, even some of the press. The waiting room was crowded with witnesses to his downfall. "How long has it been?" Alex asked Ryan for the 4th time. "An hour. You asked 2 minutes ago." Alex resumed pacing. His phone was in his pocket, powered off. It had been buzzing nonstop, calls from his publicist, his lawyer, his mother who he had not spoken to in years. He ignored all of it. Nothing mattered except the woman on the other side of those doors, the woman he had destroyed. "She could die," Alex said, his voice hollow. "They could both die." "Then you better pray they don't," Ryan said. There was no sympathy in his voice. "Because if they do, you will have to live with that for the rest of your life." The doors opened. Not the surgical doors, but the main entrance. Victoria Blackwell walked in, still in her midnight blue gown, her nose swollen and bruised. She had cleaned the blood from her face, but the damage was evident. "Alex," she said, "we need to do damage control. I have a PR team." She did not see Claire Rodriguez coming. The punch connected with Victoria's already injured nose with a sound like a branch snapping. Victoria staggered backward, crying out in pain and shock. Blood flowed fresh from her nostrils. "That is for Emily, you witch," Claire said, shaking out her hand. Security rushed in. Victoria was shrieking, demanding Claire's arrest. A detective who had followed the ambulance held up his hand. "Ma'am, I would advise against pressing charges," he said to Victoria. "Given the circumstances and the 200 witnesses who recorded what you and Mr. Harrison did, public sympathy is not exactly on your side." Victoria stared at him, then at Claire, then at Alex. For the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. She turned and left without another word, one hand pressed to her bleeding nose. Claire sank into a chair, cradling her bruised knuckles. Within minutes, video of the punch was trending online. Justice for Emily was the #1 topic on every social media platform. 2 hours became 3. 3 became 4. Alex had stopped pacing. He sat now, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. Ryan had left an hour ago, unable to watch anymore. Finally, the surgical doors opened. Dr. Bennett emerged, still in her blood-stained scrubs, her surgical mask pulled down. She looked exhausted, but her expression was neutral. Alex stood so fast he nearly fell. "How is she? The baby?" "The baby is stable," Dr. Bennett said. "We stopped the hemorrhaging, but Emily lost a significant amount of blood. The next 24 hours are critical." Alex's knees weakened with relief. "Can I see her?" Dr. Bennett's expression hardened. "Mrs. Harrison specifically requested that you stay away. She was conscious before we anesthetized her. She made her wishes very clear. I have to honor that. But I am her husband. A piece of paper does not give you rights over her body, Mr. Harrison. She does not want to see you. Please respect that." Claire stood. "I will stay with her." Dr. Bennett nodded. "Recovery room 3. She should wake up in about an hour." As Claire followed the doctor through the doors, Alex called after her. "Claire, please, just tell her." Claire turned, her eyes cold. "Tell her what, Alex? That you are sorry? That you didn't mean it? Save it. She is done with your words." The door swung shut, leaving Alexander Harrison alone in a waiting room full of strangers, covered in his wife's blood, his empire crumbling around him, and nothing to do but wait. When Emily woke, the first thing she felt was the absence of pain. Medication, she realized. Heavy sedation. The second thing she felt was Claire's hand in hers. "The baby?" Her voice was hoarse from the breathing tube. He is okay, Claire said, tears streaming down her face. He is okay. You both made it. Emily closed her eyes, one hand moving to her belly. She could still feel the slight swell, feel the reassuring weight. He tried to come in, didn't he? Dr. Bennett stopped him. You don't have to see him unless you want to. I don't. Emily's jaw set. Get me Michael Sterling's number. I want to file for divorce immediately. Claire pulled out her phone. I already called him. He is coming tomorrow morning with papers. Emily looked at her friend, this fierce woman who had punched Victoria Blackwell in the face, who had abandoned her expensive camera equipment to ride in an ambulance, who was still here in wrinkled evening clothes, holding her hand. Thank you, Emily whispered, for everything. Always, Claire said. You and that baby boy are not alone. I promise you that. Outside in the waiting room, Alexander Harrison finally stood. He walked to the window and looked out at Chicago's skyline. His city, his empire. 24 hours ago, he had been standing in that penthouse, master of everything he surveyed. Now he had nothing. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. Let them all call. Let his world burn. He deserved every bit of it. In Recovery Room 3, Emily Grace Morrison held her belly and made a silent promise to her unborn son. She would protect him. She would give him a good life. And she would make sure he never knew the man who had planned to use him as a pawn. Some mistakes could not be forgiven. Some trust, once broken, could never be repaired. And some men did not deserve second chances. 3 days after the emergency surgery, Emily sat in her hospital bed signing papers. Michael Sterling had spread them across the wheeled tray table: divorce filings, custody agreements, restraining orders. Her hand was steady as she signed her name over and over. Emily Grace Morrison, not Harrison, never Harrison again. With the video evidence and the public scandal, we have significant leverage, Michael explained. He was in his mid-40s, silver threading through his dark hair, his eyes kind but sharp. Full custody, child support, at least half his assets. The adultery clause in your prenup is ironclad. Emily nodded, but she was not really listening. Her mind was elsewhere, planning, always planning. That was what architects did. They looked at empty space and saw what could be built. They looked at flawed structures and knew how to tear them down. Mrs. Harrison, Michael prompted gently. Morrison, she corrected. It's Morrison now. Of course, I apologize, Ms. Morrison. Are you all right? Emily looked up at him, really looked. He had kind eyes. Divorce eyes, she thought. Eyes that had seen too much pain and still managed to care. How soon can these papers be filed? I can have them filed by end of business today. Good. Do it. A knock on the door interrupted them. Emily tensed, expecting Alex, but it was a woman in an expensive suit, carrying a leather portfolio. She had the air of a shark dressed in Chanel. Emily Morrison, and the woman asked. I'm Patricia Wells, attorney for Victoria Blackwell. I have something you need to see. Michael stood immediately, positioning himself between his client and the intruder. You have no right to be here. Security? Just one moment of Ms. Morrison's time. Patricia moved forward, sliding an envelope onto the bed before Michael could stop her. My client thought you should know. Emily's hand shook as she opened the envelope. Inside was an ultrasound image, 14 weeks along, and a paternity test already conducted. Alexander Harrison listed as the father. The words on the page blurred. Victoria was pregnant with Alex's child. My client is 14 weeks pregnant with Mr. Harrison's child, Patricia said, her voice professionally neutral. She's filing for paternity support and wishes to inform you that your child will not be his only heir. Ms. Blackwell has no intention of going away quietly. The room tilted. Emily's breath came short and sharp. Not just being replaced, already replaced. Alex had been building a whole new family while she carried his son. Get out, Emily whispered. We'll be in touch about custody arrangements once both children... Get out! Get out! Get out! The monitors started beeping frantically. Claire rushed in from the hallway where she'd been getting coffee. Michael physically moved Patricia toward the door. A nurse appeared, checking Emily's vitals, worried about her blood pressure, about stress on the healing incisions. But Emily could not hear any of it. She was somewhere else, drowning in the knowledge that this betrayal went even deeper than she had imagined. Victoria was pregnant. Another child, another heir, another way for Alex to take everything from her. Claire held her as she sobbed, rocking her like the child she carried. It's okay, we'll fight this. But it was not okay. Nothing was okay. When Emily finally calmed down enough to speak, her voice was eerily calm. I need to leave, now. Em, you just had major surgery 3 days ago. I need to leave before he finds a way to take my baby, before he serves me with papers claiming I'm unstable, before any of this gets worse. Emily looked at Michael. Can you get me out of here? Officially discharged? Michael exchanged glances with Claire. It's not advisable. Dr. Bennett says you need at least another week. I don't have a week. I have hours, maybe a day before Alex gets his lawyers moving. I need to disappear. Completely. Disappear? Claire looked horrified. Em, you're 7 months pregnant. You can't just... Watch me. Emily turned to Michael. You said you have colleagues all over the country, people who help women in domestic situations. I need somewhere anonymous. Somewhere he'll never find me. Understanding dawned on Michael's face. He pulled out his phone, stepped away, made a quiet call. When he returned, his expression was serious. I have a colleague in Portland, Oregon. She runs a safe house network. Anonymous, no paperwork, cash only. But Emily, you have to understand, if you do this, you're severing everything. Your support network, your medical team, everything. Good. That's exactly what I want. The next 12 hours moved like a fever dream. Michael arranged her discharge against medical advice. Emily signed form after form acknowledging the risks. Claire helped her dress in clothes that did not quite fit her changed body. Emily withdrew $50,000 from the joint account. It was her legal right as a spouse, and she had earned it through the years she had given up her career. She closed her social media accounts, changed her phone number. Only Michael and Claire had the new one. At midnight, Claire drove her to a private airfield outside the city. A small charter plane waited, arranged by Michael and billed to Alex's company account. One final insult. On the drive, Emily looked at the Chicago skyline receding in the rearview mirror. The city where she had built her career, where she had fallen in love, where she had been betrayed. She felt nothing. Are you sure about this? Claire asked for the 10th time. Your mom in Maine. If I go to my mom's, he'll find me in hours. He'll show up with lawyers and therapists and promises, and I can't... Emily's voice broke. If I see him, Claire, I'll either kill him or forgive him, and I can't do either. Claire drove in silence for a moment. Then he was at the hospital every day, in the waiting room, looking like death. Ryan said he hasn't eaten, hasn't slept. He's... Good, Emily said coldly. Let him suffer. At the airfield, they embraced for a long time. Claire was crying. Emily's eyes were dry. She had no tears left. I'll tell everyone I don't know where you are, Claire said. Your mom, his lawyers, everyone. Tell them the truth. You don't know, because after tonight, even you won't. Promise me, no contact except through Michael. No location sharing, nothing. I need to disappear completely. Claire nodded, unable to speak. Emily boarded the small plane, one small suitcase containing everything from her old life. She left behind her wedding ring, her old phone, her identity as Emily Harrison. She left behind the woman who had trusted too easily, who had sacrificed too much, who had believed in happy endings. As the plane lifted off, she looked down at Chicago one last time. Somewhere down there, Alexander Harrison was probably in that hospital waiting room, still hoping for a glimpse of her, still thinking his words could fix what he had broken. He was wrong. Emily placed one hand on her belly, feeling her son kick. It's just you and me now, baby, she whispered. We're starting over. Meanwhile, in the hospital waiting room, Alex finally gave up. He walked to Emily's room one last time. The door was open. The bed was empty. Her belongings were gone. Claire was there, packing the last of the flowers visitors had sent. Where is she? Alex asked. Claire did not even look at him. Gone? What do you mean, gone? Where did she go? Gone, Alex, and even if I knew, I would die before telling you. Claire, please. I just need to know she's safe. Claire finally turned to face him, and the hatred in her eyes made him take a step back. You want to know the worst part? She still loves you. That's why she had to disappear. Because if she stayed, she'd be weak enough to take you back. And you don't deserve that chance. She handed him a small velvet box. Inside was Emily's wedding ring. The platinum band caught the fluorescent light. She wanted you to have this. Said to tell you, some things once broken can't be fixed. Claire walked out, leaving Alex alone in the empty hospital room, holding all that remained of his marriage. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. We need to talk about the merger. Alex looked at the phone for a long moment. Then he threw it against the wall. It shattered, pieces skittering across the linoleum. The crash brought a nurse running. Sir, you need to leave. She's gone, Alex said to no one in particular. She's really gone. Sir, I've lost everything. And for once in his life, Alexander Harrison was absolutely right. The boardroom of Harrison Technologies smelled like expensive coffee and impending disaster. Alex sat at the head of the conference table. The same seat he had occupied for a decade, but it felt unfamiliar now. Foreign, everything did. It had been 2 weeks since Emily vanished. 2 weeks of detective agencies finding nothing. 2 weeks of unanswered phone calls and emails that bounced back. 2 weeks of watching his life systematically fall apart. The board members filed in, their faces grim. No one met his eyes. That told him everything he needed to know. Gerald Thompson, the lead investor, spoke first. Harrison, 3 major investors have pulled out. The Riverside project, the one your wife's old firm was competing for, they've gone with Morrison and Associates instead. Emily's old firm, of course. Stock is down 40% since the gala, another board member added. Social media is calling for your resignation. Major news outlets are covering the story. This isn't just bad press, Alex. This is catastrophic. I can fix this, Alex heard himself say. The words sounded hollow. Give me time. We're voting you out, Gerald said flatly. Effective immediately. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Ryan Matthews stood, Alex's best friend for 15 years, the man who had stood beside him when they started this company in a garage in Boston. Ryan's face was pale but determined. I second the motion, Ryan said. Alex, you're my best friend, but I can't watch you destroy everything we built. You need help, man, real help. The kind I can't give you. Ryan, you can't. I already did. I'm sorry. The vote was unanimous. 10 board members, 10 votes to remove him. Just like that, Harrison Technologies was no longer his. Victoria Blackwell was waiting in the hallway when the meeting ended. She looked immaculate as always, though Alex could see the fading bruise on her nose from where Claire had punched her. Alex, we need to talk strategy, she said, falling into step beside him. The merger. There is no merger. Oh. What? But we've been planning. You've been planning, Alex corrected, his voice dead. You used me for information, for leverage, for everything. Victoria's mask slipped for just a moment, revealing something calculating beneath. Oh, please. You knew what this was, business and pleasure. Don't act surprised. I want out, all of it, the partnership, the merger, everything. You can't just watch me. He kept walking, leaving her standing in the hallway of the building that used to be his. 2 days later, Victoria called a press conference. She announced that she had suffered a miscarriage. So sorry for the loss, so devastating. The media ate it up. The grieving other woman, the scandal compounded by tragedy. Alex watched the press conference from his penthouse, bourbon in hand. It was his 3rd drink of the morning. Or 4th. He had lost count. His phone rang, Michael Sterling's number. He answered, hoping for news about Emily. Mr. Harrison. Michael's voice was professional, detached. I'm calling to inform you that my private investigator has confirmed that Ms. Blackwell was never pregnant. The ultrasound she presented was fake, purchased online. She's been on birth control continuously for the past 18 months. Alex set down his drink carefully, afraid he might drop it. She lied. About everything. She wanted leverage for the merger. The pregnancy was a manipulation tactic. Does Emily know? Yes, I informed her immediately. Where is she? Is she okay? I'm not at liberty to say, but Mr. Harrison, stay away from my client. If you attempt any contact, we will pursue harassment charges. The line went dead. Alex sat in his penthouse, the one Emily had decorated, the one she had turned into a home, and he laughed. It was not a happy sound. Victoria had faked a pregnancy to destroy Emily, and it had worked. Emily had disappeared, thinking she was being replaced, when really she was just being played by two people who deserved each other. But Emily was gone, and laughing at the irony did not bring her back. He hired 5 different private investigation firms. Detective Frank Walsh was the best, a former FBI agent with a reputation for finding anyone. Even Frank came up empty. Mr. Harrison, your wife doesn't want to be found, Frank said during their third meeting. She's used cash only. No credit cards, no phone pings, no social media, no paper trail whatsoever. Either she had professional help or she's very, very intelligent. She's an architect, Alex said. She knows how to plan. Her mother in Maine says she hasn't heard from her. Best friend has a restraining order filed against you. Her attorney won't return calls. Sir, I'll keep looking, but I need you to prepare for the possibility that she's gone for good. Alex tried calling Emily's old number one more time. Disconnected. He tried emailing her. Bounced back. He showed up at Claire's apartment at 2 in the morning, desperate and drunk. Police arrived within minutes. Claire's restraining order was very real. 1 month became 2. The penthouse felt like a mausoleum. Alex could not bring himself to open the nursery door. Every room held memories of Emily, the kitchen where she used to cook, the living room where they watched movies, the bedroom where they had once been happy. He stopped showering, stopped shaving. The whiskey bottles piled up faster than he could throw them away. And then, on a Tuesday morning, his father showed up. Richard Harrison was 65, weathered and worn, his face showing the hard years of sobriety. Alex had not seen him in 20 years, not since Richard had walked out when Alex was 18. Saw you on the news, Richard said from the doorway. Looks like you became me after all. Get out, Alex said. You don't get to play concerned father now. You're right, I don't. But I'm watching you make every mistake I made. Pushing away people who love you, drinking yourself numb, choosing ego over family. I'm nothing like you, Alex shouted. You abandoned us. And what do you call what you did to Emily? Richard's voice was quiet, but it cut deep. I see myself in you, son, and it terrifies me. Alex felt something break inside him, something he had been holding together with willpower and bourbon. I didn't mean to, he said, and his voice cracked. I was scared. I didn't know how to be a father. Every time I looked at her belly, all I saw was you walking out the door. I was so scared of becoming you that I became you. He collapsed then, actually collapsed, sobbing for the first time since childhood. Richard caught him, held him the way he should have held him 20 years ago, and let him break. Then don't be me, Richard said. Get help. Real help. Not for her. For you. That night, Alex stood on his penthouse balcony, 40 floors above Chicago. One step would end it all. The pain, the regret, the knowledge that he had destroyed the only good thing in his life. He looked at the wedding photo on his phone. Emily's smile. The way she used to look at him like he was worth something. His hand hovered over the balcony rail. His phone rang. Richard. Alex answered, his voice broken. Dad, I can't do this anymore. I'm coming back. Don't move. I'm 10 minutes away. Richard got him to the emergency room. Suicide watch. 72-hour psychiatric hold. Mandatory evaluation. Depression, anxiety, unresolved childhood trauma. All the things Alex had spent his life running from, finally written on a chart in clinical terms. Court-ordered therapy began the next week. And for the first time in his life, Alexander Harrison stopped running. Dr. Patricia Moore did not look like someone who could dismantle a human being and rebuild them. She was small, in her 50s, with reading glasses on a chain and a quiet voice. But in her office on the north side of Chicago, she took Alex apart piece by piece and showed him what he had become. Tell me about your father, she said in their first session. Which part? The part where he was there, or the 20 years when he wasn't? Start with what you remember. So Alex talked about being 8 years old and watching his father walk out the door, about his mother working 3 jobs to keep them afloat, about learning that a man's worth was measured in dollar signs and success, never in presence or love, about building an empire so he would never be that powerless boy again. And Emily, Dr. Moore prompted, Emily was safe, or I thought she was. She loved me when I had nothing, before the money, before Harrison Technologies. She saw something in me worth loving. So why did you push her away? Alex was quiet for a long time. Because I knew I would disappoint her eventually. I knew I would fail at being a father. I knew she would leave. So I left first. You sabotaged your own happiness. Yes. Because you're afraid of abandonment. Yes. And instead of facing that fear, you recreated it. You became the abandoner instead of the abandoned. Alex looked up at Dr. Moore and something clicked into place. Something terrible and true. I became my father. You became what you feared most. And in doing so, you hurt the one person who actually stayed. 3 months into therapy, Alex moved out of the penthouse. He could not live there anymore, surrounded by Emily's ghost. He found a small apartment in Wicker Park, a working-class neighborhood where nobody knew who he was or cared about his fall from grace. He sold everything: the cars, the designer clothes, the watches that cost more than most people's annual salary. He kept one photo, his wedding picture, and the ultrasound image of his son. Everything else went to auction. Victoria's merger went through. She became CEO of Blackwell Harrison Technologies. Alex's stake was down to 15%. He did not fight it, let her have the company. It had never made him happy anyway. He needed to work, to do something with his hands, to feel useful in a way that board meetings and stock reports never achieved. So he took a construction job with a small company that renovated affordable housing. His coworkers did not know who he was. They knew him as Alex, the new guy who showed up on time and did not complain about hard work. They invited him for beers after shifts. They talked about their families, their kids' soccer games, the small triumphs and struggles of ordinary life. For the first time in years, Alex had real friendships, not business connections, not networking opportunities, just people who liked him for who he was, not what he could do for them. 5 months into his transformation, Alex started attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. 3 times a week, he sat in a church basement with strangers and admitted the truth. My name is Alex, and I am an alcoholic. He got a sponsor, a man named Tom who had been sober 15 years. Tom did not care about Alex's past or his money or his scandal. Tom cared about one thing: staying sober today. One day at a time, Tom said. That's all we've got. 6 months in, Alex started volunteering at a women's shelter. He taught basic home repair, how to fix a leaky faucet, patch drywall, change a lock, small skills that could give someone independence and safety. One woman, maybe 30, watched him work with suspicious eyes. My husband said he'd change too, she said. They always say that. Alex set down his tools and looked at her, really looked at her. I know, I was that husband. I'm trying to mean it this time. What made you change? I lost everything: my wife, my unborn son, my company, everything that mattered. And I realized too late that the only thing I'd ever wanted was already mine. I just didn't know how to keep it. The woman was quiet for a moment. Then, did she take you back? No, she disappeared. I don't even know where she is. If she's okay, if my son was born safely, I don't get to know. That's my consequence. Good, Una, the woman said. And Alex understood. Some men did not deserve forgiveness. 7 months in, Alex started writing letters. He did not know where to send them, so he sent them to Michael Sterling's office. He knew Michael would never forward them, but he wrote them anyway, one every day. Apologies, explanations, updates on his therapy, promises he knew he would never get to keep. Dear Emily, he wrote, I'm in therapy now. Dr. Moore says I have abandonment issues stemming from childhood trauma. Funny, I always knew my dad messed me up, but I didn't realize how much until it was too late. I became him, the thing I feared most. Another letter. I sold the company. Well, Victoria took it. I don't care. Money doesn't fix what I broke. I work construction now. It's good work. Honest work. I come home tired and there's no time to think about how badly I destroyed us. And another, I built a crib today. With my own hands. Took a woodworking class. It's not perfect, but it's solid, safe. I keep it in my spare room. For the son I'll probably never meet. I don't know if you had him yet, if he's okay, if you're okay. I hope you are. I hope you're happy. You deserve that. 8 months in, Detective Walsh called. Mr. Harrison, I found her. Alex's hands shook so badly he nearly dropped the phone. Where? Portland, Oregon. She had the baby, a boy. 2 months ago, she's living under her maiden name, working at a small architectural firm. She seems, she seems okay, sir. Healthy. The baby too. Walsh sent photos. Emily at a farmer's market, a baby carrier strapped to her chest. Emily leaving a small office building. Emily laughing at something someone said. She looked tired but peaceful. Healed. And the baby. Dark hair, Alex's eyes, Emily's nose. His son. What's his name? Alex asked. Birth certificate says Noah Morrison. Father listed as unknown. Alex stared at the photo of his son for hours. He could drive to Portland, show up, demand his rights. But what rights did he have? He had forfeited them all when he climbed into Victoria's bed. I found her, Alex told Dr. Moore in their next session, but I don't have the right to destroy her peace. What do you want, Alex? I want her to be happy, even if it's not with me. That's growth. 10 months after Emily disappeared, Alex received a phone call from Claire Rodriguez. Alex, it's Claire. Don't hang up. He did not. He waited, heart pounding. Emily doesn't know I'm calling, Claire said, and her voice was tight with something. Worry, maybe, or anger. But I need you to hear this. She's struggling. Postpartum depression hit her hard. She won't leave the house, won't eat. There's a man, Michael Sterling. He's been helping her. But Alex, she needs closure. She needs to move on, and she can't until she faces you. Where is she? A long pause. Portland. But Alex, if you show up and make this worse, if you hurt her again, I will destroy you. Do you understand? I understand. And Alex, she's with Michael now. He's been everything you weren't. Don't show up thinking you can waltz back into her life. I won't. I need her to know I'm sorry. That's all. And I need to meet my son once, just once. Claire gave him the address. Alex booked a flight for the next day. He spent the evening packing the handmade crib, the rocking chair, the 10 months of letters he had written. He had no illusions about what would happen. Emily would not take him back. She should not take him back. But he needed her to know that he had changed, that his regret was real, that somewhere in the wreckage of the man he used to be, he had found something worth salvaging. Even if it was too late. Portland smelled like rain and pine trees, nothing like Chicago's concrete and lake water. Alex drove his beat-up Honda he had sold the Mercedes months ago through residential streets lined with the craftsman houses and mature trees. His hands were sweating on the steering wheel. The address Claire had given him was a small house painted soft gray with white trim. Flower boxes in the windows, though it was too early in spring for blooms. A child's stroller on the porch. Emily's home. Alex sat in his car for 20 minutes, working up the courage to knock. In the back seat was everything he had brought. The handmade furniture, the letters, his pathetic offerings. They felt inadequate now. What could any of it possibly mean compared to what he had taken from her? Finally, he got out, walked to the door, raised his hand to knock. The door opened before he could. Michael Sterling stood there, and Alex recognized him from the hospital. Emily's lawyer, the man who had been helping her, the man Claire said she was with now. Michael's face hardened the moment he saw Alex. What are you doing here? Claire called. She said Emily needs closure. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just need her to know I'm sorry, and I want to meet my son. That's all. She's sleeping. First time in 3 days. Michael stepped out onto the porch, pulling the door mostly shut behind him. And that baby, I was there when he was born. I held him when she couldn't. I walk him at 3 in the morning when he cries. I've earned the right to be called his father." The words were a knife in Alex's chest, but he nodded. "I know, and I hate that I wasn't there, but he deserves to know his biological father, even if I'm just a name to him." Michael studied him for a long moment. Alex could see the man taking in his appearance. The worn jeans, the construction company t-shirt, the stubble that was beard now, not designer shadow, the weight he had lost, the exhaustion in his eyes. "Wait here," Michael said finally. The door closed. Alex waited, shaking as rain began to fall. Soft at first, then harder. He did not move. He deserved to stand in the rain. When the door opened again, Emily stood there. 10 months. 10 months since he had seen her, and she was so beautiful it hurt. Thinner than before, dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She wore sweatpants and an oversized flannel shirt. She looked exhausted and fragile and stronger than anyone he had ever known. And on her hip, a baby, 10 months old with dark hair in Alex's eyes and Emily's nose. His son. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Rain fell between them. "Why are you here, Alex?" Emily's voice was flat. Dead. Nothing like the warm voice he remembered. "I'm sorry. I know it's not enough. I know I destroyed us. But I needed you to know that I understand what I did, and I needed to meet him, to see that he's okay." Emily laughed, and it was the most bitter sound Alex had ever heard. "See that he's okay? You want to know if he's okay?" She stepped onto the porch, and fury was building in her voice now, cracking through the flatness. "You want to know what you missed, Alex? Let me tell you." And then she told him everything. The motel in Nebraska where she first felt their son kick. The ultrasounds she attended alone. The birth, 37 weeks, too early because stress had triggered labor. In a bathtub because she was too terrified to go to a hospital where he might find her. Claire coaching her over FaceTime. The tearing, the blood, thinking she was dying. "I had postpartum so severe I couldn't hold him for a week," Emily continued, and tears were streaming down her face now. "I thought about drowning us both in that bathtub. The only thing that stopped me was Michael showing up with groceries and literally taking the baby from my arms and forcing me to sleep." Alex felt each word like a physical blow. His vision blurred with tears. "Your son's first word was Dada," Emily said, and he was looking at Michael. His first steps were toward Michael. When he has nightmares, he reaches for Michael. You want to meet him? You want to call yourself his father? You don't get that title because you provided sperm. Emily, please. You weren't there when I needed you, when he needed you. You made your choice, Victoria, the company, your ego, and now you want what? To ease your guilt? Get your redemption arc? No. I've changed, Alex said desperately. I'm in therapy. I've done the work. I've been sober 10 months. I just want a chance to prove I can be better. For him. You had your chance. You had 9 months of pregnancy to prove it. You chose Victoria's bed instead. I know, but please, Em. I'll wait. However long it takes, I'll do anything. I'm marrying Michael next month. The world stopped. What? He proposed 3 weeks ago. He's adopting Noah. Your name isn't on the birth certificate. It says father unknown. Because as far as I'm concerned, you are unknown to us. Em, you can't. I can, and I am. Michael has been his father since day one. You're a stranger, a ghost, and I won't let you haunt my son the way your father haunted you. She turned to go inside. Can I just hold him? Alex's voice broke completely. Once, please? Emily stopped. She did not turn around. Her shoulders shook. No, because if I let you hold him, I'll see you cry. And if I see you cry, I might remember that I loved you. And I can't afford to remember that. She walked inside. The door closed. The lock clicked with terrible finality. Alex stood in the rain, destroyed. Everything he had worked for, the therapy, the sobriety, the desperate attempt to become better, it was all too late. Emily was marrying someone else. His son would grow up calling another man father, and he would be nothing but a biological footnote. A car pulled up behind his. He turned, expecting Michael coming to make sure he left. Instead, Victoria Blackwell stepped out, Designer coat over designer clothes, perfect as always. Alex, she said, I heard you were in Portland. Thought we should talk. There's nothing to say, Victoria. Oh, I think there is. See, I'm selling Harrison Technologies to a Chinese conglomerate. $2 billion deal. You're 15%? You'll get about 300 million. Alex stared at her. 6 months ago, that number would have meant everything. Now it meant nothing. Keep it, all of it. I don't want a cent. Victoria actually looked shocked. Alex, don't be stupid. I was stupid. I threw away everything that mattered for money and power and you, and none of it meant anything. You want the company? Take it. You won. Congratulations. He walked past her, got in his Honda, and drove away. In his rearview mirror, Victoria stood in the rain, confused for the first time in her life. She had won everything and understood nothing. Inside the house, Michael found Emily on the floor, sobbing and holding Noah. I still love him, she cried. After everything, I still love him. What's wrong with me? Michael sat beside him. Nothing's wrong with you. Love doesn't have an off switch. But love isn't enough, not when trust is gone. Did I do the right thing, keeping Noah from him? You're protecting your son and yourself. That's not wrong. But what if he really has changed? Michael was quiet for a moment, then honest. Then that's a choice you'll have to live with. But I was there. I saw the video where he planned to take Noah from you. Some things can't be forgiven. Emily leaned against his shoulder, this good man who had shown up when she needed someone most, and tried to believe she had made the right choice. 5 years passed like water through fingers. Emily's life bloomed in Portland like the flowers in her window boxes. Morrison Design became one of the most sought-after, sustainable architecture firms in the Pacific Northwest, featured in Architectural Digest for a community housing project that won national awards. The work she had given up in Chicago had found her again, transformed into something better, more meaningful. The house she had rented became the house she bought, painting it pale blue with white trim, adding a garden where Noah could play. Michael's daughter from his first marriage, Sophie, visited every other weekend, and Noah adored his older sister. The wedding had been small, intimate, on a beach in Oregon with just close friends and family. Noah was the ring bearer at 4 years old, so serious in his tiny suit. Emily wore a simple dress the color of cream, and when Michael lifted her veil and kissed her, she felt something she had not felt in years. Peace. They had another baby, a daughter they named Lily. Noah was a devoted big brother, always wanting to help with bottles and diaper changes. The house filled with the chaos of family life, toys on the floor, crayon drawings on the fridge, the soundtrack of children's laughter. Emily looked happy. She was happy. Most days, she did not think about Alexander Harrison at all. Most days. But sometimes, late at night when everyone was asleep, she would find herself wondering, where was he? Had he really changed? Did he ever think about Noah? About her? She never voiced these thoughts to Michael, who had earned every bit of her love and trust. Some questions were better left unasked. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Alexander Harrison lived a different life entirely. His apartment in Wicker Park was small but clean. One bedroom, sparse furniture, nothing extra. The handmade crib still sat in the corner, never used. The walls were bare except for 2 photos, his wedding picture from before the betrayal and the ultrasound image of Noah. Alex worked construction full-time now, a foreman for the company that renovated affordable housing. His co-workers respected him. He was reliable, skilled, kind. They knew him as Alex, the guy who always bought the first round on Fridays and never talked about his past. His 5-year AA chip sat on the kitchen counter next to his coffee maker. 5 years sober. 5 years of meetings in church basements, of calling Tom at 2 in the morning when the cravings got bad, of taking it one day at a time. 5 years of letters sent to Michael Sterling's office. 1,847 letters to be exact. All returned unopened, but Alex kept writing them anyway. Dear Emily, today marks 5 years since I last saw you. Noah would be almost 6 now. I wonder if he still has my eyes, if he's happy, if he knows how lucky he is to have you as a mother. Every Sunday morning, Alex drove to a park 3 blocks from Emily's house in Portland. He never went closer. never approached. But he sat on the same bench with his coffee and watched from a distance as Michael pushed Noah on the swings, as Emily lifted Lily from her stroller, as they laughed together like the family they were. The family Alex would never have. He knew it was wrong, this surveillance. Creepy even. But it was the only way he could see his son. The only way he could know Noah was safe and loved and growing up well. But one Sunday, Noah ran past his bench chasing an ice cream truck. The boy looked up, and for one heart-stopping moment, their eyes met. Noah had Alex's eyes exactly, dark blue, intense. The boy smiled, innocent and friendly to a stranger on a bench. "Daddy, can I have ice cream?" Noah called back to Michael. "Sure, buddy," Michael replied, taking Noah's hand. Alex watched them walk away together. He called him Daddy, he whispered to himself. "Good. That's good." A single tear rolled down his face. That evening, back in his apartment, Alex pulled out his journal. Dr. Moore still had him write in it, even after 5 years of therapy. Some habits, she said, were worth keeping. He wrote, "Today marks 5 years since I last held Emily, since I last held my son. Well, I never actually held him. That's the thing about regret. It's made of all the things you'll never get to do. People ask if I've moved on, dated anyone, started over. How do you start over when the best version of your life is being lived by someone else? I see them sometimes. From a distance. I know I shouldn't, but it's the only way I get to see my son grow up. He looks like me. Same eyes, same crooked smile when he laughs. But he has her heart, her kindness. He'll grow up to be nothing like me. That's the only thing I did right. I stayed away. Michael is a good father, better than I ever could have been. He was there for the scraped knees and first days of school and bedtime stories. He earned the title Dad. I provided DNA. That's all. Emily looks happy, really happy. She laughs again. I'd forgotten how beautiful her laugh is. Sometimes I wonder if she ever thinks about me, if she ever reads the letters I send through her lawyer. Michael returns them unopened. All 1,847 of them. I used to think time would make this easier, that the regret would fade. It doesn't. Every morning I wake up knowing I destroyed the only thing that mattered. Every night I go to sleep alone in the bed I made. People say better late than never when someone finally changes. But sometimes late is just late. I became the man Emily deserved. 5 years too late. And that's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. Alex closed the journal, looked at Noah's ultrasound photo one more time, whispered into the empty apartment, "Happy birthday, Noah. Daddy loves you, even though you'll never know." He turned off the light. The apartment went dark, and Alexander Harrison lay alone in the silence he had earned. Noah Morrison was 16 years old when he found the box in the attic. He had been looking for old yearbooks for a school project about family history. Instead, he found a banker's box, sealed with packing tape that had yellowed with age, addressed to his mother in careful handwriting. The return address said, Alexander Harrison. Noah carried the box downstairs. His mother was in her home office. She worked from home more now, designing the sustainable housing projects that had made Morrison Design famous. His dad, Michael, was coaching Sophie's soccer practice. "Mom?" Noah stood in the doorway. "I found something in the attic, a box addressed to you, from someone named Alexander Harrison." His mother's hand stopped on her keyboard. For a long moment, she did not move. Then she turned in her chair, and Noah saw something flicker across her face. Pain, maybe, or memory. "Throw it away, sweetheart," she said finally. "But Mom, there are hundreds of letters. Who?" "Someone I used to know, a long time ago. It doesn't matter now." Noah looked at the box, then at his mother. He had always known, in that way children sometimes know things without being told, that Michael was not his biological father. They looked nothing alike. Noah had dark blue eyes and dark hair, while Michael and Sophie both had brown eyes and lighter hair. But Michael was his dad in every way that mattered. He had been there for every birthday, every school play, every moment of Noah's life. Biology was just genetics. Love was what you earned. "Okay," Noah said, and carried the box to the trash bin outside. Michael's car pulled up just as Noah was closing the bin. "Hey, champ, helping with trash duty?" "Yeah, found some old stuff in the attic Mom didn't want." Michael ruffled his hair. Good man, you hungry? I was thinking pizza for dinner. Always hungry? Noah grinned. They walked inside together, father and son, and the box of 1,847 letters sat in the trash bin, waiting for Tuesday's collection. In the house, Emily stood at her office window, watching them, Michael's arm around Noah's shoulders, both of them laughing about something. Her family, the life she had built from the ashes of betrayal. She had made the right choice. She knew she had. But sometimes, late at night, she still wondered what those letters said, what Alex had wanted her to know, if he had really changed, or if it had all been another manipulation. She would never know now, and that was okay. Some doors were meant to stay closed. Michael's voice called from downstairs. Em, you okay? She turned from the window, pushing the memories back where they belonged. Yeah, I'm okay. Better than okay. She went downstairs to her family, to the home she had made, to the love she had earned and that had earned her. And in Chicago, Alexander Harrison woke from a dream he could not quite remember. Something about a bunt with his eyes running through a park. He reached across the bed out of habit, even after all these years, and found nothing but empty space. Some mornings were harder than others. He got up, made coffee, looked at the ultrasound photo on his fridge. Noah would be 16 now, learning to drive maybe, playing sports, applying to colleges, all the things Alex would never see. He had accepted this long ago, that some mistakes could not be undone, some betrayals could not be forgiven. He had made his choices, and Emily had made hers. She had chosen to protect herself and their son, and she had been right to do so. His phone buzzed. Tom, his AA sponsor. Coffee before work? Yeah, Alex typed back. See you in 20. He grabbed his work jacket, the one with his name embroidered on the chest, and headed out to another day of building things with his hands, of staying sober, of living with the consequences of choices made years ago. That evening, the trash trucks came through Portland's residential neighborhoods, collecting the week's discarded items. The box of letters was crushed in the compactor, 1,847 apologies and confessions and desperate attempts at redemption, all destroyed without ever being read. Emily heard the truck from inside, the mechanical whine of the compactor. She did not go to the window. Michael came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. The kids want to watch a movie. You in? She leaned back against him, this good man who had stayed, who had been there, who had earned every bit of her love. I'm in. They walked into the living room where Noah and Lily were already fighting over the remote, Sophie trying to mediate the beautiful chaos of family life. Emily settled onto the couch, Michael beside her. The kids piled around them. This was her life now. This was her happy ending, earned through survival and strength and the courage to walk away from what was broken. And if sometimes, in quiet moments, she thought about the boy from Boston who had become a billionaire, who had broken her heart and changed her life, who had given her Noah, well, those thoughts came less often now, gentler, like old scars that only ached when it rained. The movie started. Noah laughed at something. Lily climbed into Emily's lap. Michael's hand found hers. And in Chicago, Alexander Harrison sat alone in his small apartment, looking at photos of the family he would never have, living with the regret that came too late and the knowledge that some mistakes you carried for a lifetime. Some doors stayed closed. Some betrayals left scars that never fully healed. Some regrets became the wallpaper of your life, always there in the background, a reminder of who you used to be and who you could never become again. But in Portland, Emily Morrison laughed at a joke in the movie, squeezed her husband's hand, kissed her daughter's head, and chose not to think about the past. She had built something beautiful from ruins. She had survived, thrived, found love again. And that, she thought it as Noah leaned against her shoulder, was enough, more than enough. It was everything.